All right, welcome back to Move of the Day. This is round 7 of the Candidates tournament in Russia. And I'm going to blather a little bit, but before I do, I just want to introduce this position. Black has just played knight takes f6, and it's white's move. This is Fabi against Wang Hao. And let's just go back just to introduce it. F5 is played really with the intention of getting black's knight back into the game. So that's all very logical. And now we have a question for white, what to do. And maybe two questions is what to do and what do I think about my position? Do I think I'm better or worse, or what am I trying to do here? So as I said, I'm going to blather a little bit. First thing I got to say is I apologize for being late on round 6. I have what I think is a COVID thing. I don't have a fever though, so I can't get tested. They won't let me get tested. But I got that dry cough, so you might hear me do a little dry cough thing. But I feel otherwise, at least like my mind can function. I'm rarely at 100% mentally anyway, so this is no exception to that. All right, now as to the tournament here, Fabi is on an equal score, and now he's 2 wins behind the leaders after this round. So everything's still to play for. But the reason I wanted to highlight this particular situation is this is the kind of position that Fabi's going to need to win if he wants to win this tournament. He's been very good at winning these kinds of endings. Sometimes, and regardless of whatever we think the objective evaluation is here, right? Because both players are going to make mistakes in the coming moves in these kinds of situations. They're actually very complicated. So with that said, I want to also add that round 6 was a similar situation where Fabi did not win against Grishuk. And if I get around to it, I'm going to try to come back to that game if I have the strength to do it. So let's think about just basically what's going on in this position. Some people might like black. We've got a weak pawn, potentially a weak pawn. And the other thing that really comes to my mind is that maybe the black king is simply more active than the white king. And white definitely is going to need to get his king involved in the action. So it's not clear, if you're just thinking about it from a human point of view, who's better and why. It's not at all clear. The arguments for white are, let's call them more transitory or fleeting, because white has a little bit of juice in the center and with the rooks, and maybe in particular the d5 bishop might be a little bit loose. But it's not immediately obvious as to why. The bishop on e7 obviously also loose. So I think this was a big decision. What Fabi did was by no means wrong, but it felt flat. So for example, he played bishop g5, and his intuition, I think, is to clear everything away for the bishop, because after the very natural king f7, he goes for this move, which might in itself be a mistake. But it's whether or not it's a mistake, it's clearly part of the idea of bishop g5 to clear the rook on the e file. So, one thing about these endings is they're so, especially at the top level, which I am definitely not at, is they are so such about small things. And so, for example, white's definitely not winning this position even close. It's more of a question of what kind of problems can we make for black. And I'm pretty sure that if Fabi had played knight g5, he would have won this game. That is not to say that knight g5 is winning. In fact, black has a variety of responses. It just creates problems. And let's call it the only main thing you need to see for knight g5 is that on h6, you want to be able to find this move c4. Now, like I said, there's a variety of moves. If bishop f7, we've got knight f7, and we can claim a small advantage because of the bishops, in particular our unopposed bishop on f7. All kinds of things he could do. h6, c4, maybe this weird knight e8 move to take on g5. You know, knight g5, you could think about c4, bishop f5, and we've got some juice on e6. So this is the kind of move, I think, where, right, like this is where the game is actually decided at this level. And that's what I found so interesting. That's why it's my move of the day, is that bishop g5, you know, even knight g3, we're going to see king f7, knight g3, a little bit of things that black has to resolve. But not really a problem, in particular because black right now is really threatening to make our bishop poor, and we need to have something to do about it. And even here, c4 would have been, I think, okay for black. But king f7, very solid. And like I said, black's king is simply better than our king. And here knight g3, which I think is in itself objectively a mistake, but like I said, it's part of the idea behind bishop g5. And now Fabi's going to feel the business here, b5, and you get this actually in a lot of Slav positions where the bishop's just biting on this pawn and just feels terrible about life. And so now white is worse. One thing I want to just say about this that's so interesting to me is Magnus is talking about this position, and immediately, like, you know, players are thinking and whatever, immediately spots what's going to come. And this is what the guy had on the board way before it happened on Fabi's board. a4, a6, knight f5, bishop c5, rook e5. Just trying to get some play, and then they even had everything else. With a pure mess, and in this position, black is probably a little bit better, again, because of his king. Now, the good news for Fabi fans out there is that Fabi did draw this game, and he is clearly still in the hunt. Tomorrow, MVL, or Fabi plays MVL with white, and so we have every chance there. You know, that's really his big moment. So I'm going to go back and just showcase this move. And I think one of the things I'll say as someone as a chess fan, I think for me these endings are immensely interesting. They're not the queen sacrifices and everything else, but I think this is where championships are decided. So until round 8, I'll leave it there, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.